In this part, we are going to learn about the maintenance and scalability. Environment maintenance. The staff dedicated to computer technical maintenance must carry out all kinds of tasks related to the maintenance of the application environment. Normally, these roles already have an action protocol or methodology that they will follow to guarantee the correct operation of the applications. Here are some of them. Do backups. It is recommended that copies of the application databases be made daily. Check the health servers. There are multiple techniques to monitor the health of the hardware that supports the application. Number 3, Incidences Resolution. In those cases where it is necessary, they can contact the Quantic support department to resolve incidents. And guarantee the correct operation of Quantic. Make the necessary forecasts for the correct operation and possible growth of the application, both in transactions, as storage, number of users, etc. As we have seen in previous modules, we know this is the minimum schema need to install Quantic. It would be a server where we would have the operating system or the Windows server, Quantic application, and the SQL database. We know that the users only need a browser and internet connection. It says this would be the simplest example to start working with Quantic, although it is recommended to have the database on a separate server. This is the recommended schema, with one server with the database and another with the application. This is the recommended example to work with Quantic. From here, it can be scaled both in capacities and in number of servers according to the needs of each client. Throughout this presentation, we'll see the different ways of doing it. Note also we can have the schema with SQL in the server, but we could also have some other distributions. For example, distributing the SQL files into disks to have an exclusive server for the BPM motor or for the file system documents. All this will depend on the size of the company and the numbers of users, as I said before. Given Quantic's high adaptability to any work structure, users can adapt the infrastructure to any scenario, from the simplest to an easily scalable distribution that supports the most demanding workloads. Here, we would be monitoring the capacity, so when it's nearly full, we change it. Let's have a look now at the vertical scalability. Basically, it's about giving more power to the servers or server. In this example, we have chosen to add more power to the server. Vertical scalability. This can be tedious if it's your own server on premises, and sometimes the server does not accept more extensions. If, on the other hand, it is a cloud server, or Quantic Cloud, it can be resolved in a matter of minutes with a simple call to the provider. Let's have a look now at the horizontal scalability. While in the vertical scalability we give more power and capacity to the servers, the horizontal adds more servers to have more capacity. A system scales horizontally if adding more nodes improves performance. For example, adding a new server to Quantic that balances the load between the old and the new one can improve the performance of the application. If it's a cloud server, as we mentioned before, it can be resolved in a matter of minutes with a simple call to the provider. How do I know when I have to escalate? There is no more data capacity, the process does not work with the desired agility, or because of the information obtained in reports, like for example structure, public queries, BPM motor activity. The report shows an overview of the hours or days when the engine is more or less active, which helps to resize the Quantic environment if necessary. This monitoring is also available in the performance utility. Although the report has an advantage, we can access it with the generated URL if we incorporate it to a form control panel button. As for the Quantic maintenance, how do we identify changes in performance? It is possible to use the analytics tool so in a comparative way, analyzes the results with previous configurations. This option is found in Structure, Administration, Performance. Here we have the Form tab on one hand. The section is developed in depth in the Interface Design course. Forms option. It is interesting for the users with a design profile. As administrators, we are interested in the following options: segments of execution and BPMS motor, users activity that we see later. Let's see the segments of execution option now, only available for admin portal since it consumes quite a few resources and therefore penalizes the performance. When we go to the segments of execution, we have several options: My Client Computer, or a Quantic Server, and MS SQL Server. My Client Computer allows to execute two types of analytics. Test of performance analyzes the capacity of the computer where the test is executed in relation to the Aura Quantic requirements. And bandwidth measures the speed connection between the Aura Quantic server and the computer we are using to execute the test. Aura Quantic server includes the following tests: unit tests, analyzes the execution capacity of the Aura Quantic server; concurrency testing, it allows the user to perform two tests, the standard, based in fixed parameters, and select a form, executed in the form selected for the test. Bandwidth measures the speed connection between Aura Quantic server and the database server, and CPU shows the execution of the CPU of Aura Quantic server, comparing the total consumption with the one dedicated to Aura Quantic. And MS SQL server. Let's go now to the motor option. This is also available from Structure, Performance, BPMS motor, as we have seen before. Let's see the last option now, the user activity. One of the most important advantages of Aura Quantic Cloud is the ease of scaling, so there is no need to purchase oversized hardware for a possible future need. Aura Quantic Cloud is managed directly by Aura Quantic specialized technicians, a combination that ensures customer peace of mind and best performance. And this shall be all for this part.